Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to take a look at Job number 32. It's called Elihu Contradicts Job's Friends. And we're looking in here. We see Elihu is he's a bit younger than Job's three friends. And we see that he has something to say here. And I just want to take a look at his name. His name actually means he or she got is broken down into two parts that actually mean he or she or godlike. So his name actually means he is my God or godlike. So we're going to see some pretty cool wisdom come out of him. God's definitely got something to say from him over the next few chapters. So we're going to learn a lot, which is really cool. I love learning and love teaching. But I want to point out a couple things. He says in verse 6, he says, I'm young in years and you are very old, speaking to Job's three friends. He said in verse 7, I said age should speak. When you go ahead and you read this, you see that he feels that because he's younger, he has to wait his turn to speak up. And you know, when I look at this, you know, if these three, if he's near these three, I'm wondering, how often do we do this? How often do we go through and, you know what, you're young, you don't know anything yet, you don't have enough wisdom, you don't matter. How often do we push aside the younger and their opinions? And how often do we push aside what God may want to say through them because they're inexperienced? And I think it happens a lot more than we think. You know, I'm reminded of that verse. God tells us to have faith like a child. You know, why, what is it about the younger and about the children that God loves so much? You know, it is, think about this. As a child, you don't have a lot of worries of the world on you. You don't have, okay, how am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to eat this week? You don't have all of those worries. So you don't have the weight of the world on you. So you're able to have a faith that is just so far, I mean, in my eyes, it's just so far advanced to what I can have. Because I'm thinking about all of this, how is this going to happen? What happens if this happens? And children aren't like that. When we were in class the other day, one of the ladies in class said, I was with the kids the other day, and just to watch them worship out of their heart, she said it just made her cry, and she began to cry in the class, and that's what children can bring. You know, some of these children that were crying in the class, they didn't even learn to worship God that way at home. It's just inherent in them. So God has put something in the younger generation. He has put something in the younger in physical years, and also I believe the younger in spiritual years. He has put something in them. There's just a faith that maybe we get too righteous in our own eyes to see. He goes on to say in verse 13, he says, God will vanquish him, not man. You know, so he's talking to Job's three friends. He says, listen, you can sit here and say all the stuff you want. God's the one in charge. And that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. So over the next few days, we're going to get a little bit of what God has put in him. A little bit of that wisdom. And I'm going to urge you and even myself to listen to the younger generation more. Listen to them. You know, God has, he's put great things in him. You know, he says through the prophet Joel that in the last days he will pour out his spirit on all flesh. Young men will dream dreams. Old men will have visions. And those that are stuck in between, like me, you get both. I get the dreams and the visions. I can testify to that. Why is it? Why do I get both? Because I'm not starting and I'm not finishing. I'm in my laboring years. And I believe a lot of us are in our laboring years. And God has put all sorts of resources around us. We need to use them, including the younger generations. I love you all, and I hope you have a super day.